Okay, so Asus has a line of gaming laptops called the ROG Zephyrus laptops, and they're like the premium laptops from Asus. It's like the premium gaming stuff that is the best built, the best performing, the thinner, lighter stuff. This is like their flagship stuff. This is the ROG Zephyrus Duo, Zephyrus M15, and the S15. And I was originally going to do a video on each one of these, but then I thought there's so much stuff that's like in common between them that I thought I'd just do like one super duper mega laptop video and just kind of cover them all at once. So I'm going to start with this one because this, I've done a preview of this device. Like I had like an engineering sample a few months ago, but this was a device that I actually wanted to use as my primary machine. It was going to be this or the XPS 17. Different devices, but you'll see why. It's this really cool implementation of a secondary screen. And this screen is awesome. It really doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're playing games or browsing Reddit or doing video production, music production, it really doesn't matter because having more screen like this is always a good thing. And because of the tilt, it's just a lot more useful than other implementations of a secondary screen on a laptop. Now, in order to have a screen like this, they have to shove everything down, and the keyboard is in this lowered position. I don't mind the ergonomic change as a result of this. Like there's no more palm rest. You do have the optional palm rest that it comes with. Here it is. And it slots right in front of it. It doesn't attach magnetically or anything. It's just like this piece of rubber. It's comfortable. I don't really need it. But the one thing that I don't like about this keyboard is because of this, because your hands are forced to be further away, you are now like 8-9 inches away from the screen than you normally would if this laptop didn't have this configuration. Like normally, how am I going to show this? Your hands would be like here on a laptop, right? But because of this, they're here. So you just sit a little bit further back. And because of that seating position, it's like this 15-inch screen becomes like a 13 or 14-inch screen. Just because everything's a little bit smaller now because it's further away. And I don't think there's a way around this. I feel like if you're going to use the Zephyrus Duo, you have to be comfortable with being seated further away from the screen than you normally would be. The keyboard itself is fine. I actually like the way that it types. Layout is good, and the trackpad, even though it's shifted over to the right, is a perfectly fine trackpad, but it's just the positioning that you guys should be aware of if you're going to drop this kind of money on this machine. The rest of the device, it's good. I'm not going to go into thermal performance until the very end. I'll kind of talk about the thermal designs of all of these things at the end. But this machine is equipped with an RTX 2080 Super Max-Q and the unlocked 8-core CPU from Intel. It's got 32 gigs of RAM, 2 SSDs, but only a single slot of replaceable memory. The other 16 gigs on this device are soldered on. The Wi-Fi module is baked on, and the battery life is okay. It's a 4-hour battery. It's a big one, 90 watt hours, but because of the secondary screen and the device that I have has a 4K panel up top, I was only getting just over 4 hours on my regular battery tests. There's one other thing I would say is like a minor quibble I have about this. It's the AC adapter. It comes out, like not only does it come out the side, it's actually quite close to the front of the device, so it's just in this relatively inconvenient spot. I really like to have seen it in the back or at the very least kind of further back on the side. Okay, let's move on to other devices. Let's go with this one, the Zephyrus M15. This is the least expensive of the bunch. It's actually my favorite of these machines. I like it a lot, not just because of its price. The price is better, but this is designed really well for a $1,200 or $1,300 machine. It's well built with a solid chassis, unibody construction, so there's no seams or anything like that on the paneling. It's just, it's what you would expect for a Zephyrus product, and I'm actually surprised they're selling this for this price point. At least surprised that they're able to do this type of build at this price point because it's almost identical to the one that's double in price in terms of build quality. It comes in this nice gray color. I think they call it prismatic gray, and it's got this like dot matrix looking thing that's slightly holographic. It's super subtle, but looks really nice to me. And the gray is all over the device as well. It's not just the top panel, it's on the keyboard deck and everything. And it also has that like slightly soft touch finish to it, but it's also complemented by this nice white backlighting on the keyboard, which in this day and age is not that common. A lot of gaming laptops go for like crazy RGBs, and this is just a nice pure white. The keyboard has a pretty standard Asus layout. I think most people like it, or at the very least get used to it quite quickly. And there's also the small arrow key cluster on the bottom right, if that's something used frequently. There's one thing I noticed in terms of the lighting. It is that nice white lighting, but there's a difference between the RGB versions and the white lit versions. The white ones have, like, you can see the function keys, like you can actually see the F1 through F12 quite clearly, but on the RGB iterations, they don't actually light up the F numbers, only the functions that those keys do. So if that's something that's very important to you and you want these devices, go for the gray prism white backlit version. Okay, trackpad, standard, good trackpad. That's basically it for this one. No, well, take a look at the inside. Very similar innards between all of these devices, but this one has, the weird thing, it's the cheapest one, but it's got the same mediocre speakers as the one that's triple the price. Right? That's normal. So there's 2 SSD slots and a single RAM slot again, and this one has a 76 watt-hour battery, but we're getting 5 hours of battery life, which is a little bit better than the Zephyrus Duo. This is running a single screen for 1 and a lower res screen for 2, so it's just going to have slightly better battery life than the big boy. The screen, so it's a 1080p screen. 240 hertz, it's a great screen. Now this unit is running the 6-core Intel CPU as well as the RTX 2070 Max-Q, which is, again, a very decked out system. I am surprised that they're able to sell this at that price point. Like, if you look at the other competitors that are selling well-built machines that look good, look simple, and have like a full package, if you're getting a 2070 Max-Q at, $1,500 and change, that's pretty good. Now, there are some things I don't love about this machine. They're minor, but I'm just going to mention them. The AC adapter coming out on the left side again, like right in the middle. It can be inconvenient when your cables are coming out there. Standard port selection otherwise, but there's no webcam. So not everyone needs a webcam, but for the people that do, you now have to purchase an external. It doesn't come with one or anything. It's just part of the deal. Now, some people might love that, right? The whole privacy thing going on right now. But that is the Zephyrus M. Now, last up, Zephyrus S15. This machine this used to be the flagship. This used to be Asus's most expensive laptops, like the first Zephyrus S, the premium, super thin, super powerful machine. The difference between this one and the M is, well, the big thing is components. This has an 8-core Intel CPU and an RTX 2080 Super Max-Q. It's going to be the fastest stuff that you can get in a laptop. But to cool components like this, it's hard. Like, to cool an 8-core CPU, I should rephrase, to cool an Intel 8-core CPU, it's difficult, right? These things pull a lot of wattage, and that RTX 2080 Super Max-Q it's a power hog. So you got to vent this stuff properly. Now, in order to do it in a chassis this thin, Asus does the gap thing, right? When you raise the lid, the hinge opens up to allow for better airflow. It is effective, absolutely does a good job at removing heat, but the question is it really worth it? Because this is double the price of the M15, and they're very similar. There's a lot of stuff that's like identical between the two. The shape, the design, the construction of the two, they're so similar. Even the internals are very close to each other. So here's my take on this. When the Zephyrus S first came to the market, this super thin, super powerful device, this was special. It was weird to be able to see something that was this form factor with this kind of capability. But over the years, every company, including Asus, but every company has just gotten better at cooling laptops and keeping them thin. So now all 3 of these devices are now running liquid metal. They have great thermal systems, and you don't need crazy hardware to get excellent performance right now. And that's not to take away from what the S15 is, right? It's a very powerful 8-core RTX 2080 Super equipped super thin machine. That's really difficult to do, but not a lot of games can take advantage of what this thing offers over what the half-price M15 offers. It also doesn't have as nice of a screen. It's a 300 hertz screen, but it's not as bright. I prefer the screen on this cheaper one if I had to choose between the two. So that's basically the lineup. We have the appropriately priced one. We got like the baller version, and we got the super baller, like Zephyrus Duo. Okay, that wraps up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time.